Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Ladies and gentlemen, this is your candidate forum, and I will be your moderator. My responsibility is to keep it fair and keep it civil. So I have a timer with me. Erica Bailey is my assistant. The candidates will be given a chance to make an opening statement of 4 minutes. They will get a green signal at 3 minutes, a red signal at 4, and at 4 minutes and 30 seconds, notice I'm giving them 30-second leeway because that's what you have to do with politicians. And 30-second leeway, I'm then going to initiate the applause, and I ask the audience to help me. Once I initiate the applause, we're going to applaud them so that they'll sit down. We don't have a gong here, otherwise we we will then have questions. I have some questions that I've formulated, but I'm going to allow the directors of the advisory council here also to ask questions. And then we're going to give them a chance for a closing statement. And in their closing statement, it's limited to 2 minutes. We're going to give them 1 minute. I'm going to give a signal of a green card at 1 minute and a red card at 2 minutes, and we're going to start the applause right at the red card just to make sure. I'm doing this because we could be here till midnight if we let people speak for a long time, and I don't think anyone here, well, let's find out. Anyone here wants to be here till midnight?
No.
Okay, so that's what
one quick point of order, Dana. We're going to start with introducing the assembly candidates.
We are going to do that, yes. We're going to do the, now, so we're going to hear from the candidates for the Southern Kern.
No, we're here from
Excuse me, I'm sorry. We're going to hear from the Southern Kern Unified School District candidates and then the Community Services District. But prior to that, we have two candidates for the Assembly. And since they're hard at work campaigning and can't stay till midnight, I'm going to allow them to go first. They'll get 5 minutes simply to make their statement. I will give similar signals of candidates. Steve Fox and Tom Lackey, you ready? I'm going to give you a green at 3. I'm going to give you a red at 4. And at 5, I'm going to start the applause. All right? So first, is that all right with the council? All right. All right. So our first candidate, I'm doing this in alphabetical order. Let's hear from Assemblyman Steve Fox.
My name is Steve Fox. For 35 years, I was a proud member of the Republican Party. I kept getting hit mailers from my fellow Republicans. I got angry, switched parties. Next thing I knew it, I got elected to the State Assembly as a Democrat. So it's been an interesting experience as the most conservative member of the Democratic Party sitting in the legislature. And I've done a lot of different things. Number one, I'm a proud supporter of the Second Amendment rights. You don't have the right of free speech unless it's backed by the Second Amendment. But not only have I voted against bad gun bills, but I did something no one else has done. I led and I peeled off 20 Democrats from a bad gun bill, SB 53, and I killed it. And I had the NRA and the Rifle Association waiting to shake my hand saying, we've never seen that. I ended up supporting common sense, conservative votes, and I got it done. Not only that, but the NRA endorsed me, and I am deeply appreciative. I also got the endorsement of the LA County Sheriff's Department. So once again, you can see, as strange as it may sound, I think I'm the conservative in the race. In addition, what I did initially is I tried to push drone legislation. I found out the federal government could have 4 corridors to be able to develop drones for controlled Air Force base. I got through the Assembly, both the Assembly and the Senate, to request the governor to work on it. Unfortunately, we didn't get the contract. We didn't get the designation. So my next push was the enterprise zone, which gives tax deductions to small businesses, 50% the first year and 40% on down when they hire a new employee. So I went to the governor's GoBiz department and said, excuse me, I want a large business. I want the component where you already have an existing business here, and I want you to instead of going out of state and bringing business here, bring that same company here that's already established. They listened to me. GoBiz ended up negotiating with Northrop Grumman. I ended up coming up with the concept of a multiplier times salary so we guarantee employees right here in California. And I was able to carry and get bipartisan support for a $420 million tax credit, the largest aerospace tax credit in the history of the state, for Lockheed Martin. The result is they're using that to apply for an $80 billion Department of Defense contract to bring jobs right here in our district. So I'm doing my best to bring in, because there'll be a trickle-down effect besides 6,000 approximate jobs and helping small contractors. They're going to be able to buy new cars, new houses, go to restaurants. We're going to bring money into our district. That's my goal, bringing jobs here. In addition, I've done other things. I found a unique concept. Which color? I found a unique concept. If I do something just for our district, I can get it through. So I proposed an anti-squatters bill. A lot of us own a second home. People go in there and all of a sudden we're stuck months having to pay for their rent, which isn't right. So I proposed a concept where you post it that it's empty, you find somebody in there, you call the cops, they give them 48 hours notice, they don't, they're arrested for trespass. I got it through the Liberal legislature. First, they want me there, and second, they don't, if it's just my district, they're not arguing. So if I can get money in here and I can get regulations, that's great too. My interest isn't just on jobs and military. I also sponsor a grandparent's bill of rights. I'm a family law attorney, and I'm so tired of representing a grandparent coming in here and we got the better grandparent who's a caregiver, and they don't have rights. And the judge says, I agree with you, Mr. Fox, but show me the law. So I wrote the law. So now grandparents have a bill of rights where they can go in there and they can ask for visitations. In addition, my mother passed away right before I was sworn in for a misdiagnosis. So I decided to do something about that too. Because when a woman is having a heart attack and she's a senior citizen, she's got pains in her jaw, a young man has tingling in the arm. So I made a bill requesting that emergency doctors take a class in geriatric medicine. So I haven't just done a couple things. I've also supported education and got all the schools another 10%. So what I'm looking to do is improve our quality of life. And the main way to do it is to bring jobs, bring money into the district. We've gotten more done in this term than my predecessors have gotten literally in 30 years. And I'm ready to get a lot more done, but with your help. Thank you.
Allowing me this opportunity to run for this office. I don't know exactly if you remember exactly how the election went 2 years ago. It was a very unique set of circumstances where Mr. Fox emerged as the victor. But to say that you're the most conservative Democrat up in the Assembly is like saying you're the most healthy person in an emergency room. I will tell you that unfortunately he has got a lot done. And one of the things that he did was he was the deciding vote in Assembly Bill 8, which imposed a $2.3 billion tax increase to the entire state. That's a very, very critical, damaging piece of legislative support. Another thing that he claims credit for the aerospace bill, which was clearly a snipe and a political maneuver that was very dishonest. It was Steve Knight's legislation who actually had it ended, and then they put Steve Fox's name on that piece of legislation. So it's very important to understand representation, and it's very important that you respect the office that you represent. And one thing I have great practice in is understanding the importance of representing with honor. And I will tell you that I just retired from the California Highway Patrol after a career of almost 29 years. And one thing I understood is I represent something other than me when I put that uniform on. When we go to Sacramento, I represent something other than me. I represent each of you. And one of the things I understand is because I've been in local government. I've been a local elected official since 2005 as a city council member, and since 1999 as a school board member. And I understand individual and specific needs within a community. And that's why you're here. You didn't come here to hear us, the state guys. You came to hear your local people. I know one of the very important issues that you folks face here is you need a bank. And what we can do as legislators is partner with your people. We can help you achieve the things that you need to have to make your life reach the quality that you all deserve. And I don't know that our current legislature representative understands Rosamond. I understand Rosamond. I was raised in Boron. I played against Olaf in football in high school. We go way back. I have connections. I understand this community. I understand your needs. And I understand the way to get things done is to know you, is to actually reach out, understand, and help work cooperatively. That's what we do. We can pass all these the bills that come down our pike, but unless we serve you and reach your specific needs, we haven't done what you voted for us to do. and that is to help you achieve the quality of life that you all want. Am I dead?
No, keep going until I tell you you're wrong.
Okay. Well, I want you to know that I respect each of you for being here and being participants. My only hope is that we can start seeing some younger faces, because we need to help them trust this process. What happens is they do not trust. The term politician is it's different than when I grew up. Political people were people we respected, and now it's been an abused set of circumstances, and so the trust is starting to diminish. I understand that. I'm not much different than each one of you. I just had an opportunity. I would implore you to at least look at my credentials and know that I really care about the people. That's what it's all about. And I want to have a chance to represent each one of you, and I would respect the opportunity to communicate with you. Because without communication, how do I know what's going on? I won't just listen to the talking heads in Sacramento. I won't just be a person that's controlled by party leadership. It's the district. It's the district. And I understand that principle because I've come from local government, and I hope to earn your support. Thank you.
I ran for the board. I was asked by a fellow board member to come on board. I have to say I have a few kids in this district is an understatement. I have 6 children that went through the school district. 2 are still in the school district. The other 4 have graduated. And when I came on board, I'd never been on a school board before, so I was new. I'm not from here, so that time I ran, there was everybody, Mr. Gutierrez, Mr. Vincelette, Ms. Kirk, and a few other folks that ran were all from here. They're Mr. Landsgaard, and so it was new, it was different. Did I belong here? And I learned that through hard work and dedication that I did belong here. And it was a hard time. We had a lot of people cemented into this district that had been here quite a number of years, and somehow the district had gotten itself into quite a bit of turmoil. The county on our doorstep, asking why, looking through our books, we had a lot of issues and problems. But together on the board with Mr. Gutierrez, Ms. Kirk, myself, Mr. Starkey, and Mr. Reeder, we were able to forge ahead, do a lot of things, bring the community together. I just got over here from Rosamond High School. I have a daughter that's a sophomore there, and the amazing things that we're doing over there as a district. I'm also the AYSO coordinator for regional commissioner for soccer, and I look around and I see a lot of coaches and folks, kids that play, and grandparents that support them. So I want to thank you for that. What's important though is our kids. That's the ¡1 job. That's the #1. They are our future leaders. I look at it, I see Mr. Glennon, and every time I see Mr. Glennon, I think about the people that still call Mr. Glennon Mr. G or Mr. Glennon. So there are people in this district that have been here a long time. And the thing that really frustrated me was, you need to go somewhere to get another education. Go to Paraclete, go to Desert Christian. What's wrong with Rosamond? What's wrong with Rosamond High School? What's wrong with SKUSD? Nothing. We have a lot of great people that have come through, that are teachers, that are doctors, that are lawyers, that have went through the gamut, and they're from Rosamond High. I always tell our kids, when you graduate, come back. Tell the world where you're from and who you are, and come back and share your stories with the kids that are still here. I'm Joe Smith, and I'm from Rosamond High School. Or maybe Dr. Joe Smith, or I'm Police Officer Joe Smith, or I'm Ensign Joe Smith, and here I am. So once again, thank you. It's a pleasure to serve on the school board, and I hope that when you go to the polling places, that you'll elect me for another 4 years. Thank you.
I'm Bob Vincelette, and I've been in Rosamond now for 24 years. I came here from Sacramento, where I worked for Uncle Sam for quite a little bit. I have a good background in education. I have a master's degree in instructional technology, and I enjoyed using that throughout my federal career in items. I worked as an education specialist in Orlando, Florida for the Army, where I was a program manager for a $20 million, if you equate that to today's dollars, that's about $100 million of education programs that we were buying for the Army to train troops. We had to go through the whole process, all the way through to include delivery. I served on the school board here back 2001. We had some issues even back then, and I managed to get elected there. And we were successful. We were able to go ahead and pass and get a bond and build West Park. As Olaf likes to say, I'm supposed to be Bob the Builder, but I do build. I build relationships. I build consensus with people. Obviously, I have to apologize for my uniform, but I do still participate in the education process of the kids. I'm actually their test proctor, so to speak, as the referee on high school football and basketball. So I get to go out and make sure, see how well the coaches coach or teach. That's what goes from there. I know several of the folks. I know I worked very hard with Don Cowan. Don Cowan, for people who don't know who he is our area rep here for the Kern County School Board. And when I had issues, when I was president of the board, I leaned on him quite heavily on helping me solve some issues. I like to work with people because you can't get things done without. There are issues. If you go on social media, you see them all the time. But I get the impression they're not being addressed. I am always available. I only ask people not to call after 10 o'clock, but I've always been available to folks. And I will continue to be. So all I'm going to do is basically say, I'm running because I think we need to look at certain things. I know we're technology. My area is technology. My area is instructional technology. My background is there. I designed educational facilities for the Army when I was in Sacramento. Putting together using the technology. Well, as we start going in, you need somebody who understands technology, who understands government contracting. Because you can't just turn around and write a contract and expect a contractor is going to perform. I learned the hard way one time on a project, but I got it. And I know how to write contracts, I know how to read contracts. I'm also very fiscally conservative. It's your money. It's not mine. It's not the district's. But we need to effectively spend it for the education of our children. Okay? That's basically all it is. All I do is ask for your vote November 4th. Thanks.
I am a local businessman. I've had my business for 30 years. And when I first came on the board, there was a few issues. But we got it turned around. We were $11 million in debt at the school. Right now, we owe nobody. We are 100% solid. But that was thanks to you people. You guys all stepped up and allowed us to build West Park School. We were allowed also to put a gymnasium at the middle school. We are the first school in the Antelope Valley, and I'm not sure if it's not in the state of California, where our kids from 6th grade through 11th grade all have laptop computers in class. And I see the future really going on from here. I mean, we see Rosamond is one of the first ones to implement a college campus on our campus. You can now get an AA degree or an AS degree while you're still in high school. So to me, we have come leaps and bounds in the few years, and 13 years is a few years to me. So we've got a great future coming up. We've got a lot of things in the works, and one of the reasons I'm running again is I don't want to see this fall to the wayside. All the progress that we have made, we need to keep it going. We have a lot of kids who have graduated from our schools that have done enormous things. We have doctors, lawyers, like Vinny said. Kids that graduate from Rosamond go on to achieve great things. And we don't want that to stop. So I need your help. Vote for me. Thank you.
Are for Common Core curriculum, and whichever you are against Common Core.
Along with Vinny, on how to implement it, the proper ways to do it. I've seen a lot of videos and stuff against it, and a lot of it that I've seen isn't the whole truth. So you can go either way on it, depending on whose side you're looking at. I've got to see it from the school side and the proper ways that it's supposed to be implemented. If it's being implemented that way, it's not a bad deal. Again, everything is on how you implement it. So you can take that answer any way you want. So.
I don't mean to short tail on Mr. Gutierrez's, but we were in a class that, you know, the proper way to implement it on the other side of the spectrum. Now, it hits home with me because my wife's an after-school teacher, and she said, look, 4 and 4 is still 8, but this is how you get to that. And there were all these different steps, and I was like, wow, you know. So yes, it's more involved, and I think I look at it now to where the younger kids are getting a lot of this at a younger age. I know some states have to opt out, some counties have to opt out. But I think we'd run afoul of it if we tried that here. I know we would. But to answer your question, if it's implemented right, yes, I do agree with you.
And for me, I've done a little research on Common Core. I've heard both sides, again, like they have. If it's done right, I don't see a problem with it. But again, it goes back to a lot of the other stuff that's been tried in the past that have failed. So should we take a look at it? I don't have a problem with that, but if it fails, we need to move on to something else. So that's basically where it's at there. And it comes back to, again, my way of thinking as an instructional technologist, because they are going to rely on technology.
I want to turn it around a little bit. Warren Buffett, because of the generosity of Warren Buffett, the school district now has twice the budget it thought it was going to have. And it can spend the money any way it wants. In a very short answer, where would you spend the money?
You know, gentlemen, that's a great question. I was just over at ROTC and I asked them, how is your needs being met? What would you, and I kiddingly say, would you like to buy a tank? And they said, no, but we would like to have some other things done. But what would I do, you know, gentlemen? I can answer that real quick. We've done a lot of that. With Mr. Gutierrez mentioned, we have 1,125 kids with computers, with Lenovo 10-inch notebooks. We have our pre-K, we're the first ones to have pre-K, and we have new portable buildings at 2 of our elementary sites for our pre-K. There's things that we're bringing in every day. We're bringing in, ROP is coming in, bringing in all the trades, with our electrical and our plumbing and our sheet metal and our vehicles. I'm sure Mr. Gutierrez will speak better than I can, but you know, Mr. Lamont, I would like to expand that era. Not every child will go to college, but we give these kids opportunities to do other things in their lives. I think that's where it gets. Everybody needs a piece of the pie, and sometimes some of us have been cut out of that piece of the pie. This generation, the kids that are coming up, my kids, your grandchildren, we don't want to let them miss out on that piece of the pie. Everybody is equal, and everybody should get the same. Thank you.
Right. Thanks.
There's a lot of kids that are never going to make it to college, and they need to be productive in the real world. Definitely would love to get our school with the kids out of the portables and into real classrooms. And then of course there's always the need for more technology, more stuff in the classroom. I could go on for hours, so that's good.
Let it go. Well, you know, what you described is basically what I had the opportunity working for Uncle Sam. At the end of the year, they would come in and at the last 2 minutes of 2 weeks and say, we've got this amount of money, go out and spend it. If you can't spend it, we take it back. Well, I've turned around and had a very good game plan, and that was with my supervisors, once a quarter, we would put together the paperwork required, sit down, and prioritize. And that's really what it comes down to. Just because I got the money doesn't mean I want to run out and spend it. I need to prioritize what we're going to use it for and use it and utilize it in the best way. Just because you have money doesn't mean that you want to go out and just spend. We got to remember, it's taxpayers' money, even though it's given to you by Mr. Buffett, it's still taxpayers' money. What would be top on the priority list? It depends. A lot of, everybody's looking at technology. You would want to look at the technology areas. That's where the kids are today. They're in Facebook, they're in their computers, they're on iPads, iPods, whatever, they're into that, and there's ways to use that effectively with the kids.
One sentence, I'm going to ask each candidate to tell me, what is excellence in education?
We only have one sentence.
What?
Wow. Okay, it's so funny because, I've heard you speak before, and you've spoken at a couple of functions I've done, and I remember you kind of brought that hedgeway into that at one of them I was at. One sentence. Let me refer back to the piece of the pie. Everybody gets a piece of the pie. Everybody gets a cut. So how do we do that? Again, I'm sorry, this is not one sentence, but education for everyone. Everyone.
All right. So excellence education, education for everyone. Yes, sir. All right, next. Listen, I do this to high school students. I make them answer in one sentence.
Being a productive citizen.
Being a productive citizen.
Yes.
All right. And finally?
Well, to me, excellence in education is making sure that everyone is treated and given the opportunity to excel.
Oh. All right, let's do it in reverse order. Let's go with Mr. Gutierrez.
We need your help. Vote for the candidates that you think will do the best for our kids. If be any one of us three or Sandy, if you think it's the best, do that. Thank you.
You, Mr. Vincelette.
Open, effective communication with the students, the parents, and the faculty and staff is very key and important, especially to me, because if there's problems, nobody knows about it, and there has been recently, it can't be addressed. To me, that having accessibility to board members is really key for me. I've been accessible to, in most cases, to almost anything or whatever. People can get a hold of me. They still get a hold of me even outside, and at the, in town or wherever I'm at. And I do here. So I'm looking at the fact that the job of board member is to set policy and to effectively manage the budget. But in order to do that, you need to know what's going on and get your input from the community. And that's one of the things that I'm good at.
All right, Mr. Otis.
14 years with the United States government. So being a fiscal conservative, I've been in places and the first thing out of my mouth was, who's paying for that? Where did we get this? So being a fiscal conservative, being a part of the dollar, but that we can't just look at that. We're looking at the dollars help our children, assist our children. I also have a $35,000 budget for AYSO soccer, and that's important. And that covers a lot of things in that genre. But I'm very excited about so many strides in the little 4 years that I've been on this board. That I've been blessed to be on this board. The strides that we've made, where we came from, and where we're at right now, and the things in our future. It's just amazing, amazing, amazing. When kids come home, I run into kids, and they tell me what they're doing. My kids. And my little thing is, what did you learn today that you didn't know when you left the house this morning? And that's my little pet peeve, and they get tired of hearing that. But after the "oh, Dad," then they'll say, "Well, you know what? I da-da-da-da-da," And sometimes it's what we had for lunch, and other times it's, I learned this really neat thing, blood splatter can do this, and all of a sudden we're doing CSI at Rosamond High. So, it's a conglomeration of a number of things, but the conglomeration being, again, the stakeholders, and those stakeholders are our young people. And I'm blessed with your support to do this for another 4 years. Thank you very much.
Thank you, gentlemen. All right, our first candidate then will be Dennis Shingledecker.
Good evening, I'm Dennis Shingledecker.
look at my notes a minute. I'm not real great talking in front of people, but I've lived here in Rosamond since 1998 with my family. One of the things that we're changing things a little bit tonight. What I'd like to do, instead of discuss about myself, I'm going to introduce to you a few things about Olaf Landsgaard. Okay, Olaf has been a resident in Rosamond here since 1968. He graduated from Rosamond High School. He went to ABC College, graduated from Lewis State College with a bachelor's degree, and he obtained a law degree from the University of Idaho. Olaf has been in practice as an attorney for the Rosamond Community Service District from 1987 to 1991. He handled the legal chores of the growing district from 4 square miles to 30 square miles. He helped establish the self-assessment tax district and brought water and sewer to the west of the freeway. He has served as an elected official as a trustee for the Southern Kern Unified School District from 2002 to 2007, and on the Rosamond Town Council from 2008 to the present. Little statement in aviation: attitude determines altitude. A pilot with over 1,000 hours of flight time, Olaf believes to get off the ground you need to have the right positive attitude to get there. Olaf, Ed McKay, and I are all running on the same platform, and we have the same beliefs and desires for Rosamond. One of the biggest things we want to do for the district is give the people back the voice that they need. One of the things we've seen, the people's voices are not heard. What is said, it is ignored. I think we need to give it back to the people, listen to the people, put a platform out there so we can really direct and see what the people need. Look at what we've got going on with the lighting issues and support the needs of the people, not just the desires of those in position.
Thank you very much. Thank you for allowing the candidates forum tonight. I appreciate the RMAC and their voice in the community. Dan is my husband. He sits on the RMAC board, and in 1992 we planted ourselves in Rosamond, and it was the best thing we ever did. We had our DG mine since about '87, and so we decided to move from Palmdale to Rosamond. And it's been our home. It's been welcoming. It's been a wonderful place to live. And we expanded our business. We have a landscape supply business on Sierra Highway. In the interim, I also started a tour bus business, and I dearly loved it. And I had people from all over. I had a mailing list, a writer list of about 900. And I got acquainted with all the people in the Antelope Valley. And I decided to run for our CSD in 12 years ago. And the bus business gave me such a connection with the people. And so then when AVAC decided to force chloramines on us, a water disinfectant that includes ammonia, and I started doing my homework, and our board said no to it, and we were being ignored. And so I knew, and we struggled with that for a couple of years, and I knew I had to do something. And I told Dan, I said, I've got to go public. I have got to let this valley know what chloramines will do to them. So I spoke in 72 places within 6 months, and I only counted those places if they let me speak for 5 minutes or more. And I informed this valley of what chloramines would do to them, potentially to their health. Anywhere from 1/4 to 1/3 of the population would suffer some sort of side effect of chloramine disinfection. And they didn't know about it because they were told, oh, it's safe. Well, just reading the safety guidelines of the EPA scared me spitless. Just what they said would happen to you. So, I went public, and before I was finished, somewhere between 50 to 60 elected officials agreed with me. And we were able to put 2 new candidates, or 2 new directors on the AVEC board, and Supervisor Mike Antonovich put a moratorium against the use of chloramines in this valley, in the north LA County. And Supervisor Don Maven put a moratorium against the use of chloramines in Kern County, in our area. I did this on my own nickel because I cared for the people and I cared about your health, and I can't go to any public meeting without looking at different individuals and knowing that your health is better today because we do not have chloramines in the water supply. I care what the people say, and I listen. Sometimes we need to get more information out to the people because we're getting legislation and regulations coming down on us that we have to comply with. And that takes a lot of information and a lot of energy to get that understanding. I have been on the board for 12 years. We have pulled the board up into current economic computer programs with the financials being able to be accurately accounted for. We have built a new well. We've done a lot of good things for this community. And in this drought, the water bank is absolutely invaluable, and that was a decision we made to be sure that we could save some water for our future. Without water coming out of your faucet and without a healthy sewer system, your property values go down. The fight for water is a big one, and the fight for good, clean water is a big one. And I have engaged in that. They said we couldn't beat AVAC. I couldn't in my own. But everybody saw, as I educated people, they saw what it took to keep our water clean and safe. And I will continue to do that, looking out for each individual and my community that I dearly love. And I want to thank you for the opportunity.
Thank you, Mr. Moderator, Dana Lamont, members of the Rosamond Municipal Advisory Council, members of the Rosamond community. My name is Olaf Landsgaard. As mentioned by Shingledecker, you heard my background. I've lived in Rosamond since 1968 and was raised here along with my 10 brothers and sisters. Before I let you know 3 things that Ed, Dennis, and I will change on the RCSD, the Rosamond Community Service District, let me introduce Ed McKay to you. Morris and Ed McKay moved to Rosamond in December of 1981. Now, he was a member of the United States Air Force at the time, and he lived on the base 7 years prior to that. He retired from the United States Air Force after 24 years. Ed McKay was a director on the Rosamond Community Service District for 12 years, from 1984 to 1996. During that time, he also served as the chair of the California Special Districts Association and the treasurer and the chair of the California Special Districts Finance Corporation. They loaned out money to special districts in California. In that capacity, Ed found the financing Rosamond needed to expand water and sewer lines. We did that through 3 assessment districts starting in 1998. The first one 1998 assessment district brought water and sewer to the west side, all the way out to the Thunderbird Mobile Home Park just south of Mojave Tropical School. He served also 2 years as a trustee on the Southern Kern Unified School District. Ed is also an educator. He was an economics instructor for Cerro Coso Community College. Ed continues to volunteer countless hours as a reserve Kern County Deputy Sheriff. As a businessman, Ed McKay owned Regency Patrol for 27 years, and for 17 of those years, Regency Patrol provided security to Antelope Valley College. He's married to Wanda for 47 years. They have 2 children, Joel, and then of course Amy Ackerson, who lives here with Tim, and her husband, and Rosamond, with their 3 children, Micah, Madison, and Mackenzie. Let me tell you about the 3 things that Ed Dennis and I will change when elected to the Rosamond Community Services District. First, your voices will be heard. The sewer bills, we've heard you talk about the sewer bills being on property taxes. Those are coming up. Second, we will pay the street light bill. We're not going to give Edison the opportunity to tear down the poles or turn the lights off in the areas that didn't approve, the 14 areas that did not approve the street lighting districts. We have the money there. As you all know, we all continue to pay $1 a month for street lights. Third, the tiered water rates that have been imposed on us have been found to be illegal. Palmdale Water District's tried that. It was found illegal by the 2nd District Court of Appeals. And we'll figure out ways to deliver water to the ratepayers less expensively so that we get more users and more water being used and then more productively. At the heart of why people are upset at this election is basically the Constitution has not been followed. The current board of directors refused to follow the Constitution. I think I finally got a good insight on how that actually works. I read an article by Columbia Law professor Philip Hamburger, and he said, really it's the Constitution on the one hand and the prerogative of kings on the other hand. And if you look at that in that perspective, if someone's not listening to you and they're like your elected officials, they're just exercising the prerogative of kings, saying, you know, we're the ones that say whether you're going to have a sewer bill on your tax. We're the ones that say that your water bill is going to continue to go up. We're the ones that say if your street lights go off or not. And if you don't like it, you know, you better vote for this street lighting bill, although we're going to do that because we're the king. That's not the way our government works. We are government of the people.
Board candidate Ed McKay.
1981, retired from the Air Force, as Olaf has said. I served on the board before. I have experience. And one of the things that I want to do before I get into telling you what I would like to see the Community Service District do, I want to continue to introduce Dennis Shingledecker. Dennis was the individual that brought you the first wireless internet here in the community, 1999. He has his own company, Advanced Computer Systems, over in Quartz Hill. He had a store here in Rosamond, got broken into, and he decided that, you know, it wasn't a friendly place for him here in Rosamond, so he closed that store. But he's always been involved in the community here. His wife is a school teacher, works for a school district, and they've been married for 35 years. And so I just wanted to introduce him, but you know, getting back to what Olaf was talking to you about and what we would like to see in the Community Service District. You notice there's a word there in that title, service. And that's one of the things that we don't get from this Community Service District that we have today. They're closed at lunchtime, when a lot of you, that's the only time you have to go and pay your bill. They're closed on Fridays. Okay? And so you can't do business with them. And that's one of the things that I want to see changed. I want to see service put back in. You know, as Ms. Spoor said to you, that they've done a lot of things with the district. When I left the district in 1996, there was $12 million in reserve. And that $12 million has been spent down to where it's next to nothing, okay, compared to the $12 million that was there. I don't know where the money was spent or how it was spent, but you know, it should have been left there as a reserve. And one of the things that we can do today with the little bit of reserve that's left there, maybe we can use it to reduce the water rates. I belong to 2 other water districts. I belong to the Quartz Hill Water District. My normal bill over there for an establishment that I have is about $43 a month. I also have a bill from the California City Water Board over there, and I pay $23 a month for a facility that I own over in Cal City. So I know that water can be produced cheaper than what it's costing us today. And the fact that, you know, your water bill went down, smoke and mirrors, okay? They took it off. You got your tax bill? Have you opened it up, your tax bill? Do you see the rate increase in your taxes?
Yes.
That's from your board. They didn't listen to the people in the community. We asked them not to do that, but they didn't listen. And they went ahead and they pushed it through. And now you're suffering. So one of the things we want to do is we want to go and take that back off the tax bill and put it back on a monthly bill where it belongs. So I just ask you to vote for the three of us come November the 4th. Thank you.
Programs almost from the beginning. I work with LA County Sanitation Districts, and I have been working in the water reclamation field and sewage treatment and water treatment. I've been with them for over 35 years. And what got me involved with the RCSD is that we got a letter of a contamination in the water. And it was a recommendation to boil our water. This was about 1993 or 94, somewhere in that area. I'm not really sure, but I thought, you know what, I've got a good strong background in water and sewage treatment, and why not try to run for the board, and maybe I can give some help and suggestions, and so we don't get any more letters like this. There's never been another letter like that. I've been on the board for 15 years with an interruption in time from 2008 to 2010. And, you know, there's been a lot of things said about our board, and, you know, we talk about the sewer bills. The sewer fees were being collected on our water bill. And essentially what happens is everybody that pays their water bill every month for 12 months out of the year, you pay the fair share. The people that the rental house right next door to you, if the house is empty for a couple months out of the year, they're not paying their fair share. So by putting it on the property tax, it didn't cost anybody a dime more than what you're already paying. And, you know, we talk about assessment districts. You know, I'm paying an assessment district that was put on my property tax in 1992, 1993, 1998. We're all still paying for those assessment districts. Those are increases on your taxes. You know, we talked about illegal water rates. They're not illegal. They were passed properly, and they're not against the law. In fact, Olaf, Landsgaard, his brother, was on the board when those rates were voted in. And that was in 2009. And here it is 2014, and today he's got a problem with it. Why he didn't have a problem with it back in 2009? If they're illegal now, they were illegal then. My goal is to bring safe, reliable water supply. We have got a lot of issues in this valley. We've got adjudication issues. We have issues with the arsenic removal, chlorines. We've got issues with chromium-6. And these are things that we have to address. And for the community, we need to make sure we have people in there that understand water, understand sewage, understand making sure that you folks turn on your faucets and have a safe, reliable supply of water. Thank you very much.
Good evening, folks. My name is Rick Webb, and all the candidates, you know, we all take challenges. We all come up here. Before I start with what my beliefs are, let me tell you who I am. When we moved up here, I like to brag, we only had one signal light, and it was up here. And I still tell people that how many communities can you count your signal lights? And that's what we do. I've been a police officer, 33 years. Saturday will be 33 years I've been a police officer. And the reason I bring that up, my occupation as a police officer, I kind of liken it to being a board member. I put people in jail, I make decisions that a lot of people don't like, but it's a decision that has to be made. And that's why I've been on the board. I've been attacked by some of the decisions I've made, but ultimately, I make decisions that not only impact the community, they impact me my father-in-law, my sister, my sister-in-law. So all of us were kind of in the same boat with it. So when people talk about numbers and they talk about rates, part of it is educating yourself on the information, then making a good decision about the information. And that's what I try to do. 5 of my children, and this goes back to the school district. We have a wonderful school district. 5 kids, they've been raised here, they've gone to school here. My one daughter, UC Riverside graduate, the other UC Santa Barbara. Our community can do it. Besides that, Mr. Vincelette, he got me started with officiating. I'm a high school football official. I do youth football. I'm also part of the emergency response team for CERT. And along with Mr. Woods here, we do the cancer run and walk. So the point I'm trying to make, I don't mind being involved in things. That's the way we get things done, by being involved. And when you do things, no one's ever going to like all that you're doing. But what we have to be mindful of, we as a board, whatever board, be it the MAC board, the school board, our board, we're responsible for making decisions for a lot of people, not a select group of people. And my time as a board, I've headed up the finance committee. If you look at our numbers, some of our numbers are pretty daunting. Someone made reference about the reserves. Well, you know what? When I came on the board, the reserves weren't there. I asked the question, they said some of them had been spent. So what did I go about doing? Putting the reserves back up. It's real easy to point a finger and say what someone didn't do. But you know what? I don't point fingers. I say, what can we do? That's what I'm going to continue to do. I know I'm not the most popular person up here because of some of the decisions I've made. I won't be the most popular person. But I want to be fair. I want to be equitable. I want the folks to understand that I did it collectively for a group, not for an individual. Then when it comes to our water bank, that was a challenge before people made comments about that. If you look at our water bank now, we may be in a position to be a premier location for our water storage. We have 1.5 years. We never get any more rain, any more water. We're in pretty good shape. We have a wastewater treatment plant that's coming online as soon as we get our certification from the state. Not that the board of RCSC is not doing their job, it's the state. So what I would ask everyone, when you vote for the folks, vote for the people that are doing right by everybody. That's first. And number 2, think about it. You can't vote for what you like all the time. You got to vote for fair for everyone all the time. I'm Rick Webb, November the 4th. Please let me have your support. Thank you very much.
Also, Mr. Schaffner, who went out of his way to make sure that I know about this evening. My story began about 1.5 years ago when I became aware of the solar and wind industry in Rosamond. So I went online, I started reading the environmental impact report and also the letters that people wrote in response. And the letters were very interesting. One of them was from a family with 10 children, 2 of whom are sick with diabetes 1, and they are relying on ambulances every once in a while, and sometimes medication to be brought to the house. And the solar company threatened them that unless they give up the only 2 easements to their house, which the family legally owned, they would dig a ditch around them so they won't be able to leave the house. The family was completely broken. It was just totally incredible. So I traveled around the perimeter of the solar companies. I spoke to people. I heard of respiratory illnesses. I heard of houses that nobody could sell because nobody wanted to buy a house in the middle of a solar farm. And I decided that the solar companies should contribute to our water and street lights, because they have created quite the damage to our community, and they should mitigate. They set aside funds that they're calling mitigation funds. Well, the word mitigation means lessen the harm. Let them contribute to our community as well. So that's what I decided. So I started out with petitions, and there were wonderful people who helped me pass the petitions. The people signed them to have the solar companies pay for our water and street lights. But that didn't work. I met with Supervisor Scribner. I made phone calls. I attended meetings. I wrote letters and got absolutely nowhere. I invited Time Warner Cable to interview that family I just told you about, and they did, and they showed it on their 5 o'clock news. But yet, nobody seemed to want to help, you know, nobody. So I met with Sam Ramirez from Assemblyman Fox's office, who told me, do you know that the RCSD is authorized to place measures on the ballot for you to vote on? I said, wow, I didn't know that. And I called the election office just to make sure that it's true. And it was true, they can do that. So I documented the damages that the renewables are doing to our community, and I gave it to the directors. And everyone at the RCSD received me with nothing but kindness and friendship, for which I'm really grateful. But my request to put measures on the ballot didn't go anywhere. And then I said, okay, you don't like that one? How about this one? No. So I decided I have to get on board, because otherwise nothing is going to proceed with this. Now, we do have other issues. One of them is putting the utility bills on our property taxes. It was a mistake, it should be rescinded. I cannot imagine for the life of me somebody losing their home because of a stupid utility bill. And even if nothing else, about a year ago, the whole community came to the RCSD, and the whole community said, no, don't do it, we don't want it. Just because of that.
For the school board to give me one sentence, I'm challenging the candidates for RCSD to give me one word. Okay? One word, please, to describe the Rosamond community. I'm going to let you think for a second, and I'm going to give the order. Let me have the card. I'm going to shuffle the cards. Shuffle, shuffle, shuffle. These are the name cards I had to use to keep track. All right, one word. Rick.
One word, complex. Rosamond's a complex community.
Okay.
I put it in a sentence form, I apologize.
Yeah,
But my word's complex.
Yeah, one word. Complex. Ed.
Friendly.
Olaf.
Awesome.
Kathleen.
Home.
Dennis.
Growing.
Greg.
Caring.
Ariella.
I only can do hyphenations. Up and coming.
You said up and coming?
Yes.
All right. I'll accept that one term.
I have a question, and actually it revolves around two words: responsibility and accountability. The RCSD, gets our money every month, and I just want to make sure that you're going to be responsible for the use of it. So, how do you see the use of the money that you get in over the next, over the next 12 months? How will you use it?
I'll say, so repeating question, over the next 12 months,
Right.
how will you use the...
Willie, 12 months, we have, money comes in and we have to pay our bills, number one. They do. And then the way the budget's broken out, the ratepayers pay for that. We pay for water. With the drought here, the water rates are going up, to pump water out of the ground. So your money is accounted for by what it's spent on. And then the second part of that, we have an audit. We've had, every year I've been a director, we've had an audit, and we've come back with a clean audit saying everything's been accounted for, everything's spoken for. They'll continue to happen. When you pay your utility bill, just like everyone else, just like when I pay my utility bill, the money goes in, we're either paying for salaries for the employees, we're paying for water. That's what the money goes for. If you look at our budget that we had up there when we had our budget workshop, we talked about the breakout on the money. Some people showed up, some of them asked questions about it, but every penny that comes in gets accounted for, and it'll continue to be accounted for.
All right.
Well, we have a really concise budget, and most people don't understand that our funds as they come in, the water pays for the water, the sewer bill money pays for the sewer cost, the electricity money that comes in pays for the electricity. So what we have been doing historically the last few years is trying to spend less than what we have budgeted for. And we did show numbers in the black this year. And so it would be very carefully accounted for. All the monies that come in goes in to pay those specific bills. So we will be very good stewards of that money and make sure that it's fully accounted for and goes where it's needed.
I think the budget for the community service district should be printed in the newspaper so that the people that are paying the bill can see whether money is being spent. They don't have to go to the meeting to see how it's spent.
Right?
That's something that every member of the community services district on the board must meet, and that involves community. That's something that's been lacking in the last 4 years, and that's something that needs to be corrected. We talk about numbers in the black. One of the things that needs to be repaired is the bad press that's come from the Rosamond Foundation. It's a nonprofit foundation set up for people to donate, for Mid-America and others to donate large sums of money to go into our community to help with parks and recreation. That's what it was initially for. But community members learned that they didn't make a difference. The only votes that counted were the 5 members on the board of directors. And for 4 years, since that was brought up, they've done nothing to correct that problem. That's a problem that needs to be corrected. You need to be able to account for the money. More importantly, you need to make that money available to all the community. You can do that with a bylaw change. You don't need to sit back.
Yeah, you get the money for 12 months. First thing you got to do is pay your bills, as Kathy had said, from the appropriate accounts. I also agree with Ed. It does need to be published so the people aren't always in question. We need them. You got to have accountability. It'll give it to you to the people. It gives the people the answers they're looking for in an easy way to find.
You're talking about accountability and responsibility. Of course, you need to pay the bills. And accountability is very important. It's always good to be transparent. Our meetings are always held in public, and everything is on our website or for the asking. All the information that anybody wants, all they have to do is make a phone call, come to the office. They can get any information they want, any budget, any audit report. But I think the thing that we need to look for during the next year that I think is important, and this is for the community, is to look for additional water and to pay down the debt and to expand our water bank and to develop and implement our recycled water program for conservation purposes to help out the community. Thank you.
Money is crucial, and I am an outsider. I don't know how the money is spent for what, but it needs to be looked into very carefully. I would do that, and I think it is the result of what the money produces which would guide me. What are we getting for it? And is it possible to get the money someplace else? And allocate it. You know, I know that sometimes we want to have this project or the next project, and things look really nice, and we'd love to have all kinds of extras. But the basic is get the community what it wants. I think the bills should be lowered, if at all possible, and take care of the basics first.
I have a question. If I noticed on our tax bills increased $400 or $500, and I'm wondering that if you could take that back, how can it be possible if we so desperately needed it in the first place? They obviously took the money for the reason, so how would you just put it back? I mean, if the money's gone, the money's gone.
What happens? The people will still be obligated for this year's property taxes or sewer bills we paid on this property tax bill. Starting July 1, the next year around, it won't be on the property tax bill to start paying their sewer bills. It probably would have to start on July 1st again on the regular monthly bill.
That didn't get addressed is that the director, as a director, we have decisions to make, and what happened, the general manager told us we had lost $400,000 that we were not going to get back, gone. And when he presented that information to me, he says if we don't do this to put it on the tax bill to collect it, we're not going to get that money. The sewer fees were set up so everyone paid into it, not select groups or select people at select time, everyone. So to answer the question is that how would it go? I would still support it now because that sewer, we need the sewer. The money that's gone, the $400,000, we can't get back. If we don't capture that, then we're going to do a rate increase to go up on the sewer, and the folks aren't going to be happy about that. It's probably, I guess, maybe a catch-22 or no win, but it was a good move because it saves us money long-term because we may not have to go up on the sewer fees. That's what doesn't get discussed. People keep saying give it back. It's easy to give it back, but where do you fund the give backs? That's the one problem we have at the district. Thank you very much.
What Rick said is that I voted for it, and it was the right thing to do because we were losing that $400,000. And if we were to give the money back, we'd be right back to where we were. And unfortunately, it would be the community that pays the $40 on their water bill every month, supplementing those that don't pay it on their water bill every month. And so therefore, that's not right. It's not right for part of the community to pay 7 months out of the year and the rest of the community to pay 12 months out of the year. And consequently, the sewer rates were implemented in 2009 with everybody paying all of our connections. And if only a portion of those connections are paying the bill, and you're going to have to raise the rates to make up for that lost revenue. It's just a matter of simple math. And that's something that I didn't want to see happen. I want to see everybody pay their fair share. I pay my sewer fee. I pay it $40 a month on my water bill. And I'm paying it $40 a month on my property tax bill.
It's fair. There are people that aren't paying their dues every month. Let me tell you who those people are. They're landlords. They're people that own buildings that rent out to people in the community. All right? And, if you look around this community, you will see that there's a lot of empty houses here. Now, when there's an empty house, there's no water running through that sewer. So there shouldn't be any loss there. They need to go back to their manager and ask their manager, how did you figure out that there's $400,000 loss and it's coming from just from people not using the sewer? If it's not being used, then there shouldn't be any cost to anybody. Thank you.
I don't teach, but I speak in schools, and I say, do you have any questions you want to ask me? And they're silent. And I say, oh, then I have questions for you. And all of a sudden, now they have questions for me. So people don't like to answer questions, but I have one for you. I'm not a resident of Rosamond community, so I need your help and understanding. So, you are put in charge of resolving one issue facing the Rosamond residents. What issue would you handle and how would you resolve it?
One of the major issues that the Rosamond residents are facing is a lack of water. We are looking at an adjudication which may remove a lot of our ability to pump groundwater. We are looking at very expensive Northern California water, very expensive water. So there's some negotiations that have to go on to try to find the least expensive water to be able to provide for the residents. Water is gold. It's critical. And to think anything else is kind of foolhardy. That's why we invested in the water bank, so that when we can get cheap water from Northern California, we can put it in the ground and save it for our customers, so that it can come out of the ground at a much cheaper rate. We just got notice that AVEC is going to be raising their surface water rates. They're scrambling to find water. So we don't know what what the rates to us will actually be at some point in time. Some farmers, to try to keep their orchards alive, are paying $4,000 an acre foot for water. And a normal home you use about 1 acre foot.
We need to stretch our existing supplies of water that we have, because water is an issue. And that is through recycled water. That's why we built the sewage treatment plant that produces, or will produce, 750,000 gallons a day of recycled water. And by simply taking that water and using it to irrigate green belts, park sites, school grounds, not for drinking, just for green belt irrigation, that is currently using drinking water to keep that grass green. We can conserve enough water by that alone to supply 1,500 households a year with water in this community. So that would be my thing that is a passion for me. That's something that I've been working on for years, and I want to see implemented, because that's how we stretch our current and existing water supplies. Thank you.
That's by far the most important thing we have going on. He made reference about growth. If you have water, if you do not have water, you have growth. But not only having the water, but understanding the dynamic of the water and responsibility that we have towards the water. We turn the faucet on, the water comes out. At some point, we may not have that luxury. So supplying good, clean water for us, but also having responsibility for the water we supply. Thank you.
You know, we hear a lot about the shortage of water, but the district can sell water to the solar plants to go out and water the dirt. That's drinking water, folks. That's not tertiary water, that's not treated water, that's drinking water. That should be coming to your house. One of the things that we need to investigate is some kind of technology to put apparatus on our hydrants so that we know when somebody is hooking up to that hydrant and taking out thousands of gallons of water to take it to a construction area or do something like that, and they're not paying for it. Thank you.
I think the question was, if we had to solve one problem in the district, what would it be?
That's the question.
And the answer is, what's the most expensive problem that we have? And many people don't know that because it's hidden in the budget item, and that is how much money we're spending on defending or prosecuting, or whatever you want to call it, the water adjudication that Kathy alluded to. The whole Antelope Valley groundwater basin is being adjudicated. We spend hundreds of thousands of dollars a year sometimes on attorney's fees trying to get resolution on 4 different issues. I think we're up to the 4th issue now. And that issue, once it's resolved, could be even more expensive in that we still have to be responsible. Rosamond has to primarily account for all its water through well water, period. AVEC is a secondary source we're not supposed to be allowed to rely on. Therefore, it's important that we have something like a water bank and be able to keep on top of that. So if I was to solve one issue, it would be to magically come up with a great formula for the adjudication of the water basin that's fair to everyone.
Is cost. Many Rosamond residents came up here because they want to save money. And we cannot commit to take such a basic expense as water and make it so prohibitive that people start leaving Rosamond. So this is my issue, and my solution is get the renewables to pay for it.
Everybody's talking about the shortage of water. That is a true problem that we're looking at right now. Looking at other resources to acquire it is something that's been discussed. So you've got different methods to obtain water. They have a facility down in San Francisco, I believe it is, when the military converts salt water to drinking water. That's another avenue that could be looked at to be able to provide additional water. They have to be trucked in, shipped in, but that would be an avenue to get other water, looking at the expense and cost of bringing it in.
Thank you.
couple of other issues which I didn't touch on is number one, the county has already been collecting mitigation money from the solar companies. Where's the money? Put it here. That's number one. Number two, wind turbines use a tremendous amount of lubricants. They constantly have to change lubricants. Now, there's a site set aside for the workers to take the old oil and dispose of it in a certain place. However, much of the time they don't feel like doing it, and they pour the used lubricants right into the ground. We need to test it. We don't know what's going on there. And this is endemic of the whole industry. This is not just our wind industry. So that's that.
What we have here, they're not going to go away regardless who's on the board. The drought, that's a given. The water budget that's coming down that we're going to also be voting on to see what we're going to do, that's a given. But what's going to wind up happening when we vote in November, we're going to put people on the board that's going to vote good business practices to keep moving this district. I know sometimes the popular decision is the one that makes everyone happy, but that may not be the best management decision. Remember, Rosamond is going to be here today and into the future. And my hope and my belief is that when my children come back here to live, that we have a system in place where they can live at, where the water is affordable. And Kathy brought up about $4,000. That's a good number with the people are paying for it. So my hope is that who's ever on the board, and I want to be on the board because I want to continue moving forward with it, that we have practices in place that benefits the community as a whole, not select groups in the community as a whole, and we look towards our future because Rosamond's a good place to be. When I moved up here with my one signal light, I came up here because I thought it was the best place for my family. November 4th, Rick Webb. Thank you very much.
Just prepared, and I guess that's what I have to do for my closing statement. I have lived in Rosamond for almost 23 years, and I am employed by the Los Angeles County Sanitation Districts, and I've been with them for over 35 years, working in the wastewater, sewage treatment, and water reclamation division. I am currently the maintenance supervisor in charge of maintaining the sewer system for the entire Antelope Valley and Santa Clarita Valley. I'm also in charge of maintenance of the Palmdale and Lancaster sewage treatment and water reclamation facilities. I have been involved in community service in Rosamond for over 22 years. I've been on an ad hoc committees for the RCSD sewer treatment plant design and Southern Kern Unified School District year-round school committee. My wife and I started a food bank with the Rosamond Family Faith Center Church of God many years ago. We also helped found the Rosamond Cancer Walk, Run, and Ride that raises money for cancer research. I've also served as Cub Master for PAC 41. Been married to my wife Michelle for over 41 years, and we have 5 children, 14 and soon to be 15 grandchildren, and 1 great-grandchild. I was first appointed to the RCSD Board of Directors in 1997 and served until December 2008. I successfully ran for the board in 2010 and currently the president of the board of directors. This December I will serve for 15 years on the RCSD board of directors. When I left the board in 2008, the RCSD was in good financial shape with a lot of projects planned and an expanding workforce. There was over $10 million in reserves, and then the recession hit. And we all know how devastating it was on all of us, and the RCSD was no different. When I was elected back on the board in 2010, the first of 5 scheduled water and sewer increases voted on in 2009 had just taken place in October. Due to the recession, when I took my seat in 2010, the reserves were depleted, and the Rosamond Community Service was swimming in red ink. 2/3 of the employees had been laid off, and the remaining employees were on furlough, and there was no general manager. Through much hard work on the part of the entire board, in the past 4 years we have hired...
I'd like to ask you to vote for Dennis Shingledecker, Olaf, Landsgaard, and Ed McKay on November the 4th. Have a great night.
Thank you, Mr. Moderator, our Rosamond Municipal Advisory Council, members of the community, and thank you, Assemblyman Fox, for sticking around to hear our problems and understand how it works out at the local and the state level. This election is about accountability. This election is about, do you want to have a voice? We can't represent you. We are the voice of the community. We will represent you, but you got to give us your vote. We have the ability, we have the experience in business, we have the experience in law, we have the experience in technology. We'll make a difference. We're here for you. Please vote November 4th for Olaf Landsgaard, Ed McKay, and Dennis Shingledecker.
Thank you very much for your time. I appreciate the polite audience, I really do. 12 years has been a wonderful time on RCSD. I've learned a lot. I have fought on behalf of you. I have worked very hard. I always keep my constituency in my mind. My door is always open at Big Iron Construction. I have lots of discussions with folks that come in and talk about issues. I do listen to them. There are some things that have been said today that are only partially capable of happening. Some things are restricted by law. Some things are restricted by regulation. And you need the whole story to understand why some of the decisions have been made the way this board has made them. But I will continue to serve you. Please vote for me on November 4th, Kathleen Spoor.
I'm going to make this real short. Simply, if you want to change, you want more accountability, you want more voice from the board, vote Ed McKay, Olaf Landsgaard, or Dennis Shingle.
Thank you for making my job much easier than I thought it was going to be. I thank the candidates for the same, the RMAC directors, thank you for the opportunity to serve you. My favorite movie is It's a Wonderful Life with Jimmy Stewart playing the part of George Bailey. And George Bailey gets a chance through his guardian angel to find out what life would be if he hadn't been born. He had made the statement that it would have been better if he hadn't been born. The guardian angel showed him what life would be if he hadn't been born. So often we are in positions where we think we don't make a difference because what we have to contribute might be very small. Our democratic process requires that we all do that little small part, and that is cast a vote. And your failure to do so will make a difference. Your willing to do so does make a difference. Remember to vote on November 4, and thank you for the opportunity to serve.
Here, if it makes it easier for everyone to hear. My name's Russell Johnson, and I'm running for Kern County Assessor Recorder. I want to thank you for giving me a few minutes to share my story with you and why I decided to run for Kern County Assessor. I'm a local guy born and raised here in Kern County, attended local schools, Stockdale High School, Bakersfield College, moved away and graduated from UC Santa Barbara, but came back to Bakersfield in Kern County. Worked for a state senator covering a lot of the desert area for a number of years, so I know a few of you from the years I spent covering the desert. Worked for County Supervisor Mike Maggard, served on the Bakersfield Planning Commission, started my own business in 2010, and I have a public affairs and community relations business. But currently I'm on the Bakersfield City Council, and my term expires at the end of December this year. But I'm running for Kern County Assessor Recorder because for far too long, our assessor's office has been plagued with dysfunctional management.
Oh, yeah.
Many of you may not know what the assessor does. Does everyone know what the assessor does? Some of you may not. The assessor is responsible for assessing every piece of property in Kern County. That means your home, retail properties, commercial properties, agricultural properties, oil properties, wind properties, solar properties. Their responsibility is to set that assessed valuation, and then 1% of the overall assessed valuation forms what's called your general local government tax. Well, if they don't get that assessed tax roll right, guess what happens? It messes with everyone else's budgets all around the county. Just this year, the County Administrative Office announced there was a nearly $8 million mistake that cost East Kern big time. They didn't get the wind energy roll right. And when the question was asked, why didn't the assessor's office get the wind energy roll done? The management response was, well, we just didn't have time. I'm in business. If I tell one of my clients I didn't get one of his conditional use permits done, or if I didn't turn his information into the county on time, guess what response I get? Well, you're fired. I'm going to go hire someone else. It doesn't work in government. We're held helpless to the county assessor's office. We need new leadership to make sure we're getting it right. Guess what Mojave Unified School District got hit with? $2.6 million reduction. Guess what happened in South Kern Unified School District? $335,000. all part of that $7.7 million mistake because they didn't get the wind energy roll done. But it didn't just happen in 2014. It happened in 2013 when they messed up the oil roll over on the west side of Kern County. And what had to happen was $27.7 million had to be refunded to the taxpayer. One little school district, the Elk Hills School District, had to pay $254,000. You may think that's not a lot of money, $254,000. When their budget's just over $1 million, it's nearly a quarter of their budget. This is why we need new leadership in the assessor's office. They can't get the tax roll right. We need to make sure we get it done. Secondly, they're not being fair to the taxpayers. How many of you have gotten your property tax bill already? Many of you may have noticed that 72,544 homeowners got tax increases this year greater than 2% allowed by Proposition 13. Now, it was legal and they were allowed to do it because it's called a Prop 8 reduction, and they're increasing your value as long as it stays below your Prop 13 level. But the reality is they've known since July in the assessor's office that you as a homeowner were going to get an increase. They knew that 72,544 homeowners in Kern County, some of whom lived on fixed incomes, that need time to prepare, or people that pay a mortgage, they could have had time to prepare so they could have put more money into their escrow account. But now you have your bill in October, and your bill's due in December. Guess how large some of those increases have been? We've seen some increases as large as 50%, 40%, 30%, 20%. You try telling someone, a senior citizen who lives on a fixed income, your home's now worth 50% more, and your tax bill's going up. We need new leadership in our assessor's office. We need someone who's an advocate for you and I, the taxpayers. We need to make sure we're protecting and defending Prop 13. We need to make sure we're being fair and putting the taxpayers first. And last, we need new leadership to move the office forward and take us to the future. I humbly ask for your vote on November 4th for Russell Johnson for Kern County Assessor Recorder. Thank you.